Welcome to Monster Guitars. Pardon the noise of the heater just over there, but it is fairly cold out here. The Flame in Fur is just about finished, and it's time to get some finish onto this. The neck already has some Odie's oil on it, but the body doesn't. I've just realised I need to mask off the fretboard before I do this. Fortunately, that's easy. It takes only a moment or two. Okay. One of the things that impresses me about Odie's oil, I mean, the thing that impresses me generally is that it looks and feels great. But one of the things that impresses me is how far it goes. That small portion that I've put on there might do the whole top. Or not. I am putting it on fairly thickly. And I'll wipe it all off. Wipe off all the excess later. The neck has already been oiled, but it doesn't hurt to get more oil on the wood. It's just that I noticed there were some little spots getting on it, so I thought, well, let's do it evenly. Right, I'll let that sit for a bit, and then I'll come back a little later and give it a rub down, get off any excess that's there. That's looking good though, looks nice. Looks pretty much like I thought it would. Just realised I missed a patch. Oops. Well, I've given it a towel down now with a clean towel. And look, what can I say? I've sung the praises of Odie's oil before, albeit briefly, but every time I use it, I think I'll do so again. It's just a really lovely product. It's got a great velvety feel to it. It looks nice. It even smells nice. Okay, so shield the cavities, put the hardware on, wire it up. I think that's what comes next. I have shielded the pickup cavities, and now I'll just do the rear control cavity. I do like that oil. I do. I didn't make a video of me doing the soldering. That would be about as much fun as watching paint dry. Now, I think my soldering skills are getting better. It looks untidy because there's a bit of excess wire, which isn't the end of the world. I've seen worse. But the actual solder joints themselves are fairly tidy. I use soldering paste all the time now. I didn't do that when I first started soldering, and it certainly helps. Anyway, will it work? That's the most important thing. I'll find out later. You'll see that the cavity is shielded with copper tape, and I've brought a little bit of the shielding over the edge to sit on the back of the guitar. That will contact the shielding which will be on the back of the control cover, thus making a nice shielded box. I should sand this cover up and oil it. I think this is a nice design idea, where the cover is flush with the edge of the guitar body. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Let's get on to that. So that's come up very nicely. It isn't exactly the same grain as the Rimu onto which I'm screwing it. I think it was probably not the same piece, but it still looks nice, I think. Now, touch wood, not that I'm superstitious, but touch wood that I don't have to open this again and that the wiring is all done properly and the guitar functions as I hope. Yeah, I think that was a sound design decision. Well done, Glenn. We're very close to the end now. I've just put in the tuners. The holes were already drilled, and I think they look great. Yeah, this copper theme I think was a really good idea. I'm going to undoubtedly use it numerous more times in future. I've just put a couple of spots of super glue into the nut slot and put the nut in. I don't recall if I cut those starter slots or if I got this blank with those starter slots in it, because I have cut a few and it's been a while since I put all the bits and pieces into this container for installation. But in any event, I'm going to have to finish off cutting those nut slots now. So I've put 2 strings on. I think it's best to start with the outside strings, numbers 1 and 6, because if you just put 1 on, then there's a lot of potentially some pull on one end of the nut that might yank it out. I mean, it is glued in, but no chances, basically. And the other thing is, putting strings 1 and 6 on enable you to quickly see how well aligned everything is. And in this case, it's pretty perfect by the looks of it, which is great. Because the pickups are angled, it's touch and go on getting one of the rails aligned, but the strings are just, I mean, they're well over one of the rails in each case, and they're just touching the tip of a rail in the other case, which is good. That's fine. That's all I need. So everything seems to be lined up nicely. Good. So let's do some cutting. So I can see that there's going to be a fair bit of cutting required initially because that string is very high. Bone is pretty easy to cut through, so I'll try not to be too zealous. And if there's any angle in your cut, make it that way. It's important that the leading edge, the highest part of the slot, is at this end, because that's where you want your string to be cut off when it starts vibrating. Otherwise it'll be buzzy as anything. So I've got all the string slots in and cut down to a decent height so that the notes are comfortable to fret and they sound right. What that means is the slots now appear to be very deep. They're not really that deep, well, I suppose they are, but the reason they are is that the nut is fairly tall. So I'm just going to file that down now with the strings in, because I'm not actually going to get so low that I touch the strings with the file. Not that file. I'll go for something coarser for a moment before I come down to this. This is possibly my finest regular workshop file that I have. That was 240 grit sandpaper. Now I'm on to 400. This may be as fine as I'll go. I don't need a super shiny gloss finish. A fairly matte looking finish would be fine. Now I'll just use a card and some very fine sandpaper to soften the edges of those slots. I'm using my driver's license. You can use yours too. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. There's only one part, well, actually there are two of them, that I am still waiting for to complete this guitar, and that is some nice copper strap locks to go on the body. They haven't arrived yet. Hopefully they will soon. They're coming from America, and well, things are still a bit slow postage wise in that part of the world at the moment. We're just about done. I'm going to install these copper-coloured strap locks. I don't know that I will advertise the brand. I think they're kind of overpriced, to be honest, but they are nice. Yeah, and if I show you the brand now, I've thrown them under a bus, so they might not appreciate that. Let's get that done. For the record, it feels great to play, I think. I think it sounds really good too. I don't know if I mentioned it, but these pickups are a brand called Artec, and I think they sound pretty good. I will probably use them again at some point. Getting this, I mean, I already had one, but it wasn't very good. Getting a new chuckless, cordless driver and drill was one of the best investments I've made recently. Right. Now I'll bring the camera up close in just a moment. Well, I may as well do it now. And I'll show you how the strap lock system works. You probably already know. Well, some of you will anyway, because guitarists seem quite fond of these things, and for good reason. I was going to say they're handy. Yeah, I guess handy is the right word. Handy for making sure that you don't drop your expensive guitar. So that part is very similar to a regular strap button. Not exactly the same, but quite similar. This part is quite different. It's got a pull-out thingy here. That's its proper name, a pull-out thingy. And I'll show you how it works. So this will be more or less, well, not permanently, because you can undo it just as I did then, but it will be attached kind of to your strap. Slightly adjusting the hole. Okay. There. Now, so that is what it looks like on that side. And what you do is, now, that isn't going to come off. Right, you're definitely not going to run the risk of somehow popping the strap over the end of the button like you can sometimes with a normal strap button. The only way to get that off is to pull that out and then slide it that way. You can see why I oriented the, what will I call that? I'll call it the cradle. Why I oriented the cradle that way. You wouldn't want it so that if you just pulled that, the guitar fell straight off. So that's a nice, safe option. And there are lots of different brands of strap lock out there. There are some relatively inexpensive ones, like a number that I have, but I got them from China. And they seem to work really well. This particular copper-coloured one I could only get from the United States. And it was a bit more expensive than I thought it should be, but it was also the only one that I could find, which is why they can get away with it. So, there it is. So there is the flame in fir. The shape is the flame, and fir refers to the Douglas fir on the top. I think it's quite a beautiful guitar, and a nice sounding guitar, and a nice playing guitar. If you'd like to buy this guitar, you can't, because I've already got a buyer. But if you'd like something similar, get in touch, drop me a line, leave a comment. I'm also on Instagram as glenn.welly, because I live in Wellington, or the Wellington area. Glenn has 2 N's. But there we are. Another one. This is the, let's see, how many guitars have I finished and sold? 1, 2, 3. This is number 4. Number 4. Number 4 that I will be selling anyway. Yeah. I'll see you next time.